The illusion of partisan politics, a corrupt alliance between neoliberals and neocons. Listen. In the current political landscape, it seems that everything is viewed through the lens of Democrats versus Republicans, blue versus red, liberals versus conservatives. The media constantly bombards us with this binary narrative, presenting these two parties as fundamentally opposed to each other. But when I look at politics, I see something entirely different. A corrupt alliance between neoliberals and neocons, working together towards a common goal of colonizing and pillaging natural resources and economies around the world. Let's start by defining these terms. Neoliberalism is an economic ideology that advocates for free market capitalism, deregulation, privatization, and globalization. On the other hand, neoconservatism is a foreign policy ideology that promotes military interventionism and the spread of so-called democracy. While on the surface they may seem like opposing ideologies, in reality, they share many commonalities. One of the first things that comes to mind when I think of neoliberals is their obsession with economic growth and development. They believe that the free market is the best mechanism for creating wealth and improving people's lives. This ideology has fueled the rise of multinational corporations and free trade agreements, which have allowed them to exploit cheap labor and resources in developing countries. On the other hand, neoconservatives have a similar mindset when it comes to foreign policy. They believe in spreading so-called democracy and American ideals to other countries through military intervention. This mentality has led to numerous wars and conflicts in the name of spreading freedom, despite the devastating consequences for innocent civilians. What ties these two ideologies together is their reliance on capitalism and expansionism. Neoliberals view foreign markets as opportunities for economic growth and profit, while neoconservatives see them as potential territories to be conquered and controlled. It's no surprise then that these two groups often work together in pursuit of their shared goals. But what does this mean for the average citizen? Well, it means that our political system is dominated by a few wealthy individuals and corporations who have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. They use their money and influence to manipulate the political landscape to their advantage, regardless of which party is in power. This is why we often see politicians from both sides of the aisle making decisions that benefit the 1% rather than the majority of their constituents. Whether it's signing off on free trade agreements that result in job losses and exploitation, or supporting endless wars that only serve to line the pockets of defense contractors, these politicians are ultimately serving the interests of their corporate donors. Furthermore, this corrupt alliance between neoliberals and neoconservatives extends beyond national borders. We can see it in the form of resource extraction and exploitation in developing countries, often with devastating consequences for local communities and the environment. This imperialistic mindset has been perpetuated by Western powers for centuries, but with the rise of neoliberalism and neoconservatism, it has become even more pervasive. So where does this leave us as citizens? It can be disheartening to realize that our political system is driven by greed and power, rather than the well-being of people and the planet. But it's important not to fall into the trap of partisan politics and see things as simply Democrats versus Republicans. We must recognize that both parties are complicit in perpetuating this corrupt system, and it's up to us to demand change. We must demand transparency and accountability from our leaders, and we must hold them accountable for their actions. We must also educate ourselves and others about these issues and push for alternative solutions that prioritize sustainability and equality over profit and expansion. Furthermore, we must also look beyond our own borders and recognize the global impact of our actions. As citizens of powerful nations, we have a responsibility to stand up against exploitation and imperialism and support the rights of marginalized communities around the world. In conclusion, the illusion of partisan politics is just that, an illusion. In reality, we are all pawns in a corrupt game played by neoliberals and neoconservatives for their own gain. But by recognizing this and taking action, we can work towards a more just and equitable world for all. So let's break free from this illusion and start seeing the bigger picture. KIK, knowledge is king. Thanks for watching.